Okay. All right. We are live and ready to go.
Yes, we are. Well, hello, Julie Claire.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining Be3 Health and Life Coaching. We are so excited to be interviewing you and to just really getting people to understand healing energy. You know, a lot of people are not familiar with it. I wasn't familiar with it until I met you. And I am completely fascinated by it.
And I've heard great things about it.
Yes. So we are, just really looking forward to interviewing you with this. So welcome.
And thank you for accepting.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk about this field of work because I think it's the most important thing we can ever do. And most of us do everything but that. So
yeah. And it is proven. It is phenomenal. It really is. Mm-hmm. So we're just gonna dive on in and just ask you a few questions, and you just take it from there.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well, starting, Miss Julie Claire, when's your birthday?
My birthday is on the 7th of February.
Yeah, 2-7 Aquarius.
Yes.
That is so exciting. That's right around the corner. I know my mom is February 1st. I'm January 31st. I just had my son January 26th. So we got a lot of back to back.
we got some Aquarius energy in the house here. Like, okay.
In the age of Aquarius. How awesome is that?
It's like amplified.
Exactly.
Which actually kind of started on my birth year. So let's
really
bring
that's
it
like a double powwow.
Wow.
And I don't know if you know, but also in terms of the age of Aquarius, like we're in this, like, it's like a triple age of Aquarius starting, because we have there's like these 2,500 year cycles of astrological influences, and we entered the age of Aquarius. That's what they're talking about when they say that. That's that 25,000 year cycle. But then on top of that, we're also, for a first time in a long time, hitting the larger Aquarius cycle, 25,000 year cycle, at exactly the same time as this cycle's coming in.
Oh,
really?
And supposedly even more expanded than that, which is kind of getting beyond the field of what my mind can comprehend, because I haven't studied astrology enough. But there's even a larger, like 350,000 year cycle that's aligning. So it's like a triple age of Aquarius.
Really?
It's a triple, it's a triple Uranus shift.
That is a major shift. That explains so much as the chaos that's going on right now.
Yeah, so we got a triple whammy going on here between us three. And we have a triple whammy going on in the universe, all right? So
more alignment, okay?
Look, 3. I love it. The synchronicity.
Wow, that was good to know. So
that
was
like
good to know. About that. So I'm one of those people who's very into astrology, the stars, the energies of the planets, and how they influence us. So it's like that was really fascinating for me.
That was very fascinating.
It's very fascinating. I've met people that have studied 18 years in astrology, and they still don't consider that they master the art of that.
Yeah, I believe that. Because it's
so sciences,
right?
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
it's so much.
It is.
So that's exciting to start that. Okay, and where are you located, Miss Julie Claire?
Well, presently I'm in Canada, near the capital of Ottawa, close to Montreal. Basically, I'm on the French side. I'm francophone. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be here, though, but basically I'm from here. I'm from Canada. I'm slowly getting ready to, my son is 17 years old. He's almost ready to kind of like fly off and go explore the world in his own way.
Yes, and, the good time.
Yeah. And, I feel called to do a lot of energy healing work on Earth grid, and that involves moving and going to different places. So that's coming up. Like, I'm aware that I'm not going to be sedentary for much longer. So for now we could say I live in Ottawa, Canada.
Okay. So you're born and raised there?
I was born in Northern Ontario. I was born in the more northern part of Canada.
Yeah. Okay.
So does where you live, does that influence kind of the work that you do at all?
Well, I have a local practice, but it's pretty small. This is a very interesting area. It's like a federal city, right? So everyone kind of has like their stable well, it's like over 60% of adults working are working for the federal government.
Oh,
So
wow.
like it's not this like super expansive like I want to heal and work on myself. Like it's more like let's keep it stable. Let's keep it stable, you know? So I do have a local practice, but it's pretty small. And I was also, this place was great for studying because I was also an academic for many years. I almost finished a PhD in sociology. And this is a great place to study and be in that kind of field of working with researchers and things like that. So like I kind of had a double life going on, healing 50% of the time and more scholarly things 50% of the time. Now that's completely gone. In 2015, I took the final decision to leave that world behind. Because I can no longer devote work that is intellect based only. It has to merge intuition and intellect, or I can't do it. And it just got to the point where my body was like, nope, and it was just like shut down, you know. And trying to continue just gave me a burnout, and I was like, okay, I got the message.
Okay, I got it. I got it. Right.
No more teaching at university. Got it. All right.
Yeah, I choose you. Healing energy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
that is interesting.
Yeah, that is.
I love how you, I mean, especially being an energy healer, but how you listen to yourself, you listen to what you were feeling and decided, you know, this is not what I'm going to do anymore. This is what I was, but there's what I'm supposed to become. And I'm going to follow that. I'm going to be passionate and dedicated to it. I love it.
Yeah. And it's like, it was like a bargaining period for a while, right? Like I've known for 15 years that that's my path, but it's like, to me, it was like, I'm a very, I don't know if it's an Aquarius thing or what, but it's like, I want something to be done a certain way, and I will give everything I can for it to happen that way. And I really wanted academic knowledge to bring the heart and the spirit back into its understanding of reality. And, you know, like I was like a straight A student, like I was sure I could, you know, like I was sure I could find a way to word that stuff and kind of like help esoteric sciences regain a valid place within exoteric sciences, which is what they do in university and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a place where it's just they just can't go there. And yeah, and I just stopped trying to figure out how to help them see it. You know, I was just kind of like, you know what, you guys have fun with that, and I'm done.
Yeah. So it was just a little bit too much over their head. They just weren't ready to just really go there.
Well, if we're talking about energy healing, it's not something, you know, like a lot of healing you cannot measure scientifically, and they need that. They still live in that world where they need to measure, you know?
Yeah.
They need everyone to experience it the same way. Well, we have a huge issue.
Because that's not going to happen
no one experiences healing the same way, because it's like no one is made the same way. And
exactly.
Everyone has this entire universe within them, and all of a sudden we're all supposed to be
the same
in a row, and just kind of like the school system, right? We're all just supposed to sit there. And,
that's systemic education. Exactly. Yeah, I hate it. It's just recreating the same thing over and over again. And the beauty of the energy is it's customized to that person.
Exactly. Each person has their own energy field. So
yeah, like I imagine the schools of the future, and they would be so awesome. Like you'd get your sky chart, you would understand your basic, like astrological makeup, and like the various forms of intelligences would be taken into consideration to see what's best for you. Some people are very musical, some people are very like a rational thinking based,
they're bodily kinesthetic and things like that.
Why are we not expanding this and allowing everyone, like, oh my God, this world would be so much more interesting if children had more room to be themselves, and actually get to teach us a thing or two,
Yeah. I tell my mom that all the time. Like, I'm a huge advocate for Dr. Howard Gardner, how he came up with the theory of multiple intelligences. He's like, Absolutely. It's like how Einstein said, if you measure a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you're going to think it's dumb. Exactly. Like, people are intelligent in their own ways. They're musical, they're bodily kinesthetic, they're introspective. There's so much that goes into it. Allow them to grow into that. They're linguistic. Let that be their form of intelligence and go on that path so they can grow into what they are, not just logical, mathematical, where, okay, just regurgitate this, memorize it, and call it a day.
And then just have everybody thinking the same, being the same, doing the same, not,
and
not
at the end of the day,
separation.
at the end of the day, what has that created as a world for us? We have very powerful technology, and we are literally destroying the base of community, of the earth, of what feeds us, of
humanity itself.
It's like, so like, are you sure that that's really the way to go?
It's like there's all humans but no humanity. Like
exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It's so
well said.
Yeah, that is so true. And if they allowed everybody to, speaking on what you were saying, Julie, the world would people would be so much happier, and there would be so much more love, because people would love themselves because they're able to be themselves and know themselves,
And there would be a lot more abundance,
Yeah, a lot more.
If everyone could do what they most love, what would we be lacking?
Yeah. It would be beautiful.
And that's the real question.
That is the real question.
It's like, so I wonder, what are people so afraid of? Why? Why not go towards that? What are you running from?
Yeah, don't run.
I can do that if you want.
Please do. I would love to hear, actually, because I have theories. There's always theories, like, it is. But I think, I honestly do think we're coming into that. I think that all of this, the age of Aquarius, the entrepreneur, people going into their entrepreneurial side, people being able to be in a world now where you can energy heal and not be looked at like, oh my gosh, how dare you? It's so far away. We're coming into a place where it's almost a safe space, because I think we're going to get there,
Oh, I so do I. There's no doubt that we will. The question is just when and how. The question is, do we need to go through like a dark age before we reemerge, or are we able to just kind of like expand and transcend? But really, what it comes down to is it's always the same. It's the fear of feeling the pain.
Fear of change, a fear of losing that control. It's like, it really does repeat the same cycles over and over again. But I think this cycle is like the last one. This age of Aquarius, you can't put us in a box. So it's like, this age is like, you usually do it this way. I got something else for you, though.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little different for you this time.
It's like the governing planet of Aquarius is Uranus. And this planet's all about like, F your rules.
And that's the truth.
F your rules.
Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth. Which kind of leads us to another question too, Julie. And you kind of touched on this a little bit. How was it introducing that field at the time that you introduced it? Because it still was a little taboo, I'm sure. I can't imagine the challenges that you went through just trying to get people on board. Just kind of share that with us a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think the harder part was trying to get people within academia to consider it. Like that was like, it's like the opposite of preaching to the preacher, or whatever that expression is, right? When you're talking to people that already know.
Preaching to the choir.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
As most of my traumas from childhood are very much about realizing that I'm surrounded by people that are afraid of whatever I am. So for a long time, as a child, I just interpreted it as meaning there was something wrong or evil about me, because I could see in people and I could hear what was going on in their heads, and even when someone was being really mean with me, at the same time I could see the hurt child in them. So it was like, I think for some people it might have driven them insane. Like it could onset a mental illness, maybe, right? Because you're like, there's like 8 layers of the person talking to you at the same time, and you're like, well, which one am I supposed to answer?
Right.
It's like, okay, the one talking with their mouth, you answer with your mouth. The one talking with their other, it's like, okay, so I got 8 levels of talking to the person, and just realizing that one of the hardest things to realize is that even if you really want to help someone, if you go too far, they would be willing to hurt you. So that's what a lot of us are aware of at a very deep level. It's like, I might want to help you, and I might want to tell you the truth, but I'm also aware that maybe you're so scared that you might hurt me.
Mm.
So that was a recurring theme in my life, and as a child, and as a teenager, I just became so enraged at this world that I just kind of went in the rebel, like F you all kind of place. And then I didn't mind showing who I was, you know what I mean? But like, it was like in a very rebellious kind of way. So,
yeah.
So, and then by the time I got to university, I was such a good student that even though I was saying things that didn't make sense to them, it was really hard for them to be like, well, you're being kind of stupid. It's like, well, summa cum laudes aren't stupid, you know? So I don't know to what extent I've felt like, you know, like persecuted, or, you know, like I felt misunderstood most of my life, but I have this ability to talk with so many dimensions and beings. More the other person can see a living example of what it's like to have completely come back to trusting God. So
yeah.
And that's a journey, man, because it's like, you know, if you look with your eyes in the world, it's kind of hard, you know, it gets hard to believe, you know, you have to look with your heart. And that requires I'm not talking about the emotional heart. I'm talking about the spiritual heart.
The spiritual
right?
heart.
Like the deeper part, not the part that's like, oh, this happened. Like, you know, the deeper part. And what's really interesting about when you do heart healing, like I'm sure you've seen this before, someone that experiences a joy of some kind, and it makes them cry. You know? And what's really going on is that joy is felt by the sacred heart, the deep spiritual heart. And then as it expands, the grief that's stuck in the emotional heart can finally be released.
That's good. That's powerful.
These are the most beautiful tears to witness.
Yeah. And it's so authentic, you know, and the fact that you allow yourself that space to be vulnerable enough to be able to help other people to that extent.
Absolutely.
Speaks volumes about, you know, where you are on your journey.
Yeah, no, you can't offer people that space if you're not able to be there. And like for me, that was the big lesson. For a long time, I was a good healer, but like it was more about the mental structures. Sorry, find that.
She's saying, think about the house phone. I muted my cell phone.
This is the day of things going on around us, you know, clinker clutter, but you know, dishes, phones, you know. I muted my cell phone, but I forgot about the home phone because it's like it never
That's
rings.
What I just said.
Never rings, and all of a sudden it rings.
I just see it too.
Yeah, you can't do this level of work if you don't heal your heart first.
Yeah.
You can, but it's never going to be as powerful.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I'm hearing. That authenticity is key.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
and you can feel that in her work as well. You know, I mean, it's just so authentic, you know.
The energies.
Yeah,
you know,
the energies
are real.
Yeah. So how long have you
we could just say that, right? Energies are real.
Oh,
they
yeah.
Are real. They
Definitely
are
real.
Energies are real. People may not understand it, you know, exactly what it is. And that's why we're so excited about interviewing you, because people need to understand that, and they need to know about it and educate themselves on it and become knowledgeable, you know, with it, because our energies are a part of us. You know, it's important that people know that.
And we spend so much time trying to avoid feeling them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like if we can just just reverse the logic that we use, because if you really do go into them and really feel them completely as a loving presence, they will dissipate. And this is the problem. We're kind of like, oh, I don't want to feel that. Whoa! And then we go and we avoid it and we avoid it. And it's like, and then it's just like, it's like a monster inside of us, but it's not really a monster. It's just energies that need to be witnessed.
It's like people miss that. It's like they're not understanding the art of mindfulness and understanding our emotions are there to lead us towards something. It's okay to feel the emotion, but now you need to experience the emotion and say, where is it leading me? How do I rectify this and become what it's leading me to become?
Yeah. It's yes, well said. And it's like that's like I give a living example of doing that specific process on my YouTube channel at a certain point. So it's like, it's just learning. It's like a new muscle that we need to develop. And for most, like, it's like me and Shaitan have a mentor that we share together, and he explains it's like the psychology, the human psychology. We have lower parts of our brain, and for them, you feeling an intense emotion that hurts is the same as getting your arm chopped off by a lion. So, like, of course, we have all these systems to not feel.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's why people are so desensitized to so much.
Yeah.
And it's like an act of protecting themselves. I've noticed that in the world, people harden their hearts, but then it's like your heart becomes hard to even the good things. Exactly. It becomes harder to be satisfied, to be pleased, because the act of hardening it's holistic. It applies to all areas.
All areas, right. You can't just take it out of one area and say, oh, okay, I'm just hardened to that. Yeah.
It's a side effect.
It is definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely. You girls know.
How long have you been healing people's energies? I mean, I think I'm getting, let me know if I'm jumping in there, but it feels like it's something that you've always possessed. It's one of those innate gifts that you were born with. But how long have you made like a profession out of it, that you've known, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I'm like dedicated to doing?
Well, as I said, like I've been doing it for 20 years, but for the first 15 of these 20 years, it was a dual system, right? Where I was doing, so some academic work and some shamanic work, let's say. And I was very much like I'm very strong from the intellect and the intuition. I'm very strong from very analytical abilities, but also very physical abilities. So I always wanted to it's like, can't we just do all these different things and have fun, like mixing in them all together? But we live in this world where everyone wants to be like hyper specialized. So it's for the last 5 years, I've been completely devoted to this, but I have been working in this field for over 20 years.
Now, Julie, for those people, let's say they are aware of healing energies and they've just kind of been like, oh, no, that's some, voodoo or, whatever. How do you help them to understand that this is still a very spiritual part of them, and that it's not anything that's taboo? It's not anything that's, oh my gosh, I go to church every Sunday, I shouldn't be doing this? Or how do you make it relatable for those people to allow themselves to open up to the possibility of getting their energy healed?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, like it's the simplest part is just to understand that it doesn't need to go into some woo-woo world of entities and angels and I don't know who and whatever, and you don't have to go there. Like the whole goal of feeling energy is to feel where you have trapped emotional energy. And most of that trapped emotional energy comes from your childhood. So it's like, if I'm working with someone that's like a beginner, like that have never really delved into stuff like this, we will absolutely do most of the work within their body. Okay. So X situation is showing up, it's freaking you out. Where do you feel that freak out in your body? And then we go there. Like this one person I worked with recently who had never done energy work. She was aware of something going on in her life that was like triggering her. And we just took the time and just asked her, where is it in your body? And if the person's like, I don't know, it's like, well, I know because I feel it. Right. So I'm like, are you sure it's not like right there below your liver? And they're like, oh my God, it is. How come you knew that? Okay, let's just go there. And from there, and from within there, I kind of listen to the story in there. And I just ask them very simple questions. Like if it was a color, if it was an animal, what would it be doing? You allow other parts of the mind to get involved, and then you just work on processing. You just process the energy by talking with it, by conversing with it, by allowing it to unfold and let you know what's going on. it's, you know, what is scary of expanding and opening up to universal knowledge and things like that are the defense structures that we put in place to survive whatever went on in our childhood. It doesn't have to have been super traumatic. It could have been, you know, like it's like things as you know, dumb as like I ran into the kitchen when I was 4 and I wanted to give my mom a hug and she was like, "Can't you see I'm busy?" And it was like, "I'm a nuisance." And then you carry that. Then you're carrying that around. You have it's like that shit gets like ingrained in your survival brain. And then you're walking around in the world and you're like, "I don't want to be a nuisance. I don't want to be a nuisance." And you don't even realize that it's like governing your life. So first step of the work, even with advanced students, the first step of the work is working on decluttering. Decluttering the survival system, you know, so that it starts understanding, okay, there's not a lion right there that's going to eat us if we go feel that. And then the more that gets kind of like, the more you start becoming aware of these defense structures, the more when they show up, you know what's going on. So then it's not like, "Oh my God, there's a demon trying to attack you." No, your fear structure's freaking out.
Normalized.
Calm down, you know?
That's how they call it the critter brain.
Right, the critter brain.
Yeah, so kind of like tone down the, I don't know what to call it, like the fear of the unknown, you know? And like, it's just kind of like, let's just work on feeling where you're holding these trapped emotions and let's untrap these emotions. Let's let the child in you know that you are willing to become its parent and you're willing to bring it into your heart. And once your inner child is like doing a lot better and feels safe, all the rest of the stuff is like, it's just bonus. It's candies, you know? It's like, whoa, so you mean like I have another life where I did that? Oh my God, that's so cool. You know? That comes later, you know? Like, that comes later. Because if most of us have a very deep fear of shining too bright in the world.
Guilty. Guilty.
So the first thing we do is we go and we accompany that part of you that carries that fear. Because that fear governs our lives. You know, we think that we're adults and we think that this little 5% of our conscious brain that's like the tip of the iceberg, we think that thing's running the show. And that's such bullshit. You know? I'm saying big words, but you know, 95% of what you do is based on programs, and most of these programs are lies. So that's the real work, and then we can have fun, kind of like discovering all the rest. So this is the problem. Some people are they're afraid of that part.
They
are. We're not going there. You know, that's not where we go first. That unfolds on its own. Once you've healed the fear structure, you know, once there's actually like room to breathe in your energy fields, then the rest is just learning how to breathe with energies.
It's a deprogramming, because really the programming is like a firewall, like it's there. It treats everything else like a virus to stop it. So once you deprogram it, like, let me debug this. And
then that's the issue, right? Is that then we think that firewall is an enemy. You know, and we're like, and you're doing this to me, and your life is preventing me from doing this or whatever. And it's like, no, it's not.
And Julie, a lot of that is the masculine energy, right? That has to keep that control mechanism in place for them to make them feel like they're in control of whatever it is that they don't want to deal with.
Absolutely. The divine masculine energy is in charge of creating structures to protect you. So your masculine energy wouldn't create a structure to protect you if your feminine energy didn't feel like it wasn't worthy of expanding. So it's like it's not like, oh, the masculine is doing it, you know, like it's like it's a dynamic, right? Like it's a divine dance. And the idea, like we were talking about that during the last call, you know, it's to heal the feminine energy in you, and for that part of you to reclaim its dignity and its worthiness to expand and shine as bright as she can, is absolutely essential for your masculine energy to understand, so my job is to like actually create containers that allow you to expand. Like it's a thing. I thought I had to protect you by like trapping you in this thing.
Right.
Protect you, you know, like
It's like, no, I just need you to build the staircase to go here, not build the house to keep me in.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
But they both have to feel safe.
Right.
They have to feel safe for them. And it's kind of the same thing as like the inner child in you has to be able to feel safe with you as an adult. Because most of us as adults are like, oh my God, I don't want to talk. I don't want to deal with that whiny, weak, whatever. Like, so it's like, how are we supposed to have a harmonious relationship within us or with others when we're like that within ourselves?
Within ourselves, exactly.
Right?
We don't have
that yin and that yang.
Yeah,
that's
that
what that's all
harmony.
about, to have that balance. Yeah, I agree. You said something about your YouTube channel. You want to share that with everybody, Julie?
Yes. It's called, I think it's called Julie Claire Joyful Soul Expansion. But if you just do YouTube Joyful Soul Expansion, then you'll find it. I haven't posted on it in 2.5 weeks or so. I'm going through this big thing in my life, so it's pretty. It's videos will emerge from this that will be very powerful, but for now it's more. We're more in a mourning process. We lost someone in our close life. What I do in that channel is I offer teaching tools, and I also offer live guided meditations. And I also have a little section that I call Healer Hangout, and I bring on healer friends, and we either talk about our life as healers and how we learned our crafts, or we just do healing sessions. So feel free to go explore. There's a couple of really good ones. There's one recently I did with 2 friends of mine, and we each one of us in a row. So each one of us for 10 minutes did a healing on that you receive whenever you watch it, because it's not.
It was nice.
This is energy, right? It's not time and space constrained. Yeah, and just my goal is just to offer my teachings and offer my being to the world, because that's what we need, and that's what I love doing. So it's like, it's not even a job,
Yeah, and the content is so beneficial, because I've watched them and did some of the meditations from the YouTube channels, and you got so many great comments. So many people were so thankful for you offering them. They could feel it immediately. It was just a lot of good information and good content that you put out there.
And it's like, and none of it is planned in advance. So it's just kind of like, it comes up. It's kind of like doing a healing session on someone. Just get out of the way, open up, and let it come through. So I have yet to like plan a video and organize what I'm going to say. It's like, I got to do a video right now. Boom.
It's like you just got to go with it sometimes. Everything isn't planned all the time. Sometimes if you're feeling it, you just got to just go with it and just do it, because that's what's being placed in your spirit.
And I think that's what makes it so real and raw and authentic, right? It's like I know what it's like to plan a presentation. You don't teach 3-hour courses at university by winging it. Right? You go in there, you planned everything. Like,
exactly.
This is like, it's allowing a much higher intelligence to come through and talk to people's hearts. It's just like when I do live meditations, like a lot of the time, my role is to, like, I kind of have a little outline, but then my role is to get out of the way and let whatever wants to come out of my mouth come out, because my energy is connecting to everyone else in the call. And then what's coming out of my mouth is exactly what they need. And I hear it at the
that
same
moment.
Time. And I'm like, I wonder why I just said that. Okay, whatever.
At that moment, that's what they need to hear, to make them, put them in a place to make them feel more comfortable, or whatever they need to feel to get in the place that they need to be in. Now I know that we, the mentorship program that I'm a part of with you, I know that's group coaching. Is all of your coaching group coaching, or do you have one-on-one coaching as well?
Yeah, I do one-on-one as well. So what, like that group, that mentorship program that I created, it's ideal for, like, it's ideal for anyone. It ranges from complete beginner to relatively advanced seeker, whatever we want to call it.
And it is too. That is so true, because I'm the beginner on that one.
And mixing all these energies together, it doesn't matter who we are, it doesn't matter how much work we've done, we always have that. Most of us have not done enough work on the fear structures and the protective mechanisms and the limbic brain and the reptilian brain and the brainstem and all these things. And that's where the real work needs to be done now, because that's what we're reprogramming. Like, it has been functioning a certain way for millions and millions of years. And for us to go where we need to go now, we have to release a lot of the programming in there. We do not live in a world anymore where a lion's going to come eat us.
Right.
Yet we still act like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really love that program, because what I try to do is the first call of the month is very much a guided meditation, and it's just kind of like, I'm going to flow, and we just kind of like flow with it. And the second call, we kind of go more into what I like to call it love seat healing, because I don't want to call it hot seat coaching. You know, when someone on a hot seat, it's kind of like,
nobody wants to be on the hot seat.
Exactly, right? Whereas like, being on the love seat,
that's going to trigger the critter brain.
Exactly. Yeah.
And at the same time, everyone else in the call gets to assist the process and be a presence and receive the healing as well. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a triple whammy, just like we're a triple whammy right now with 3 Aquarius energies.
Yeah, triple whammy all the way around.
And then I have more advanced programs that are reserved for people that are a little bit more advanced and are ready to go into royal alchemy, mystical alchemy work, which is much more advanced and requires a certain level of ability to really connect to intuition and be able to hold that place and be in a guided journey for like a good hour to an hour and a half nonstop. Mm-hmm. So, it's like, it's not really what we would want to try to do at the beginning. So it's kind of intense on the pineal gland. Mm-hmm. We want to kind of train it up to get there. And also do one-on-one work. And I really love doing one-on-one work, because then I really get to just unfold with the person in real time, and I'll bring whatever tool at the table that works for them at that time. Mm-hmm. So it ends up being often very multiple modality, kind of going here and there and feeling in the body and going up in the mind and into the heart, and then kind of moving around. And yeah, like most of my clients that I do one-on-one work, I'm so proud of them for the amount of advancements I've seen them have throughout the times. Some people will come 2-3 times and that's it. They're like, okay, that's it. Thank you. And it's fixed. Whatever was like, bugging is gone.
Right.
And other people come into like multiple year programs with me where we really, really unfold and go towards their, we have this way of thinking. We think that enlightenment means that we've arrived and we're done, but it's like
so wrong.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not what it means.
Evolving.
It just means you're not asleep anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a new level.
Exactly, because we should always be evolving.
And then the real work can start.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the people that follow me for a long time, it's because that's the goal, is they really want to like fully enter their divine purpose. And to get there, we need to declutter. We need to declutter all the stuff that's in the way of actually feeling safe, remembering how big and grand and great we really are. Yeah. So it's kind of like, let's come back to the beginning of the thing, right? It's like the fear of shining, the fear of being everything that we are is the most important thing for us to heal right now. And that is very much about rekindling a very conscious and healthy relationship with our inner child, where we free it.
Yeah.
Because that is our source of energy. It is our source of joy. It is our source of, it's the part of us that wants to play.
The innocence that was lost. Yeah.
But it can be regained. And once it's regained, it's with wisdom. Mm-hmm. And that is not, you can't ever topple that down after. Nothing can ever topple that down after. There's a difference between a naive innocence and a wise innocence.
Exactly. I was just thinking that. And I've been fortunate enough to experience Julie's one-on-one and her group. And just to experience that one-on-one, because we're in a group together, like she said, we have the same mentor, coach. And to experience that when she was done, I'm just looking like, how the heck did you do that? Like she just tapped into something I didn't even know was bothering me. Like I knew something was bothering me, but I just didn't know what it was. And she tuned into it and she just very calmly asked me a few questions and, just kind of, And when I answer her, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. You know, like it was so effortless on her end. And it was just, I'm like, oh my gosh, how the heck did you do that?
It sounds like what makes you so, great at what you're doing is, and what I think is the most important part, is that ability to articulate and to locate, these emotional things, and then being able to translate them into what people can understand. It's almost like being like bilingual in a sense, if we're gonna find something for it.
Yeah.
I think that's a really powerful part.
I think that's a good way to
put it. It's a very good way of saying it. Like, I think I'm like trilingual by now, it's like the language of the guts, the language of the heart, and the language of the fear structures in the mind.
Because you're helping people understand that.
Yeah.
And of course, like so much time in studying as well, like makes me a very versed person, right? Like I can find the words, and I was able to find ways to explain excessively complex philosophical informations in a way that's easy to understand. So all that comes into the work as well, right? Like all that comes into the work. So and it gives for really good courses too, because they're like content packed. And
well, it's like the saying goes, if you can't explain it simply enough, it's because you don't actually understand it. So your ability to do that shows that deep level of understanding, which is so important.
It is. And people need to know that and be able to feel that, and I think that will really
help them resonate, because people have to feel like you're a professional. I think that's why people become so obsessed with like titles and credentials.
I know.
They're like, you're doing that, but what certification do you have?
Right.
What degree do you have?
You have to back that up.
They need it to give them that sense of proof, but it's like when you have that ability to have that understanding that you have, that regardless of, if there's any credential or anything associated with it, a person can feel comfortable in it because I can feel, that you get it, that you've got it.
Exactly.
If
you
like where do we get credentials for life experience and deep healing? Like,
he's like, are you going to run through my entire biography and decide that particular instance qualified me?
Like at what moment in my timeline would be sufficient for you?
Right.
But once again, that's just fear, right? Like
it is.
People are like, I'm like scared poopless to go down there, so I need to know that you're not some like, I don't know, woo-woo person that doesn't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I understand that feeling. I notice in my own practice that I don't tend to attract that as a client a lot, because the person coming in has already felt, like a lot of clients came in just from watching a YouTube video. They're like, I'm in.
They didn't have to be.
There's no interview. There's no. I interview people. Like you can't just you can't just come into the mentorship program. You have to fill up a form, and I get on a 45-minute call, and I offer a free energy healing session through the process, which allows me to assess where are you at, and is this gonna be beneficial to you at this time? Because it's like, I'm not here to scare anyone. Like, we're already all scared enough as it is, right?
Right.
Especially right now. Right now.
Yeah.
So we do the same thing as well. That's why we give those complimentary introduction sessions, because people have to understand it's important. It's like, we want to make sure that we're good for you, but I need to make sure that I'm good for you as well.
Absolutely.
There needs to be able to feel that, to know, is this going to be worth both of our time, both of our, energies? Am I going to get you what it is that you're looking for?
Because we may not be a good fit for each other.
So I love that you do that. It's like, I'm not here to waste your time. Like, this is real.
And I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah. It goes both ways. I need to make sure I can work with the person as well.
Yeah. And I highly recommend to the audience, if you still have any kind of, uncertainty and still feel like you may be overthinking it and don't really understand where it is, how Julia's explaining what healing energy is, I highly recommend to go out and check out a couple of the YouTubes, just so that you can have that time, because that's just you're sitting there with the YouTube, and you can, get a chance to experience it and just kind of feel it. And I highly recommend going out there and checking out her YouTube.
Is that the best method for people to connect with you? Do you have like social media handles?
I have a Facebook group and a website and stuff like that. My website, it's all Joyful Soul Expansion. So the Facebook group is called Joyful Soul Expansion, and the website is joyfulsoulexpansion.com. And like I'm building it, so it's not like a complete, work of art that's all done. but I'm probably never going to be done building it, right? Because
it'll go through phases. You'll shed, you'll do new things.
Yeah, it will. It will. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we close out this awesome interview?
Well, how about just a little 5 minutes of actually just kind of going inside?
Show them what you do.
Yeah. I would love that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So close your eyes.